Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Robert, and I'll be your guide on this meditation practice that enters a space of mindfulness through the act of drawing. This week we'll explore tiling, play a game of regularity and irregularity, a game of adjacency, fitting, surrounding, gaps, forming, and a game of identity within the larger field of elements. I'm going to use a pen to get started. It shows up nice on the page, and I like that feel of drawing lines fine with a pen. And then I think I'll switch over and explore a few colored pencils, finding a palette that struck my eyes, things clustered around their own little spaces in the color wheel, and see how they bring some texture, some tone, and some liveliness to the simple pattern of tiling. Episodes have been more irregular as I'm a little busy, and just finding the time to edit them and put them together has slowed down some for me, but we're still making a lot of them, and we have plenty lined up that'll eventually come out. So if you're enjoying the episodes, subscribe for future mindful drawing practices. Share with your friends, give it a thumbs up, and go ahead and gather your supplies, establish your space, and let's draw together. Work with, see if this pen works, little squares, and see what we can do with those, from the very small to the larger, to the long or the short, and seeing how they build up into pieces of a grid, but can also overlap each other, extend it, break the edges, play a game of sizes and tiling together. And then over time we'll take a step back from that and bring in some color or shading or tone. I think something that might be fun with each one is that each takes on not only its identity of its perimeter, but some interesting interior identity, so they could get a little extra shapes in them, something like that. That's the game that we'll play through. I'm just going to draw my outlines in pen so they're easy to see, but anything will work there, and then have some colors to play with them after we get a few on the page. So as we take in the paper, noticing its own shape, maybe it's a portrait, maybe landscape, maybe square, whatever's working in front of you, that rectangle that you have access to of some kind. Notice it as a whole. Try to let the eyes see the whole shape, even though they might only be able to really focus in a little area. We take it in the space in front of us. And as the eye flutters around, that's trying to keep a large hole into its smaller vision. Wherever the eye ends up, be aware to start, bringing the pen or pencil to that area, and working out a first rectangle. Wherever it is, whatever proportions it takes, gives us the beginning of this tiling condition. And then once it's placed somewhere within it, its little internal shape. And you could play with these. Maybe they change over time. They don't have to be squares or rectangles to mimic. You could have anything going in there. But now we have a condition started on the page. We can work our way out from there. The first few, getting a sense of the space, so just drawing a larger or smaller, equally sized shape a little bit next to it, leaving a small gap, like the grout lines in your tile or a road on a street. I think I'm going to work around the shape, explore a few different things without needing to know where they'll end up, how they'll line up or expand. They can just keep gathering some rectangles. Testing out a few things, whether that's a playground of evenness or a high degree of variety, setting up an idea of the game, taking a moment, few are in place, to explore, adding their little inner regions as well. But a good amount of territory already at play within the paper, the page, breaks the emptiness. And now we can start to work through it, focus on our moment there, less on the overall and more on each condition. Following in some light breath at first, just noticing when you inhale. And as that inhale turns to an exhale, bringing a new shape out onto the page. And working at your pace through its perimeter. On another inhale and exhale cycle, bringing a little internal window to that shape. That relationship of outer perimeter and inner perimeter working its way out through the pattern. And on your next natural inhale, starting that again. And then working around the area captured here. And giving it its unique little interior feature. You can proceed at a pace that follows you, just reminding the mind to bring itself to the present moment with an inhale. And then working in the space you make with that breath out onto the paper. Noticing opportunities for some edges to align, extend past, or stop short. The eye scanning the growing configuration, finding a new place to engage, inhaling, bringing that new tile into the mosaic. Each piece stacked neatly, but with its own character, its own little internal moment, worked through the presence of its neighbors and then taking its own place there in the overall system. On your inhale, finding that new location and then letting it form outwards onto the page. And this thing can grow and contract. Its regularity or irregularity of the boundary. Little slots may draw us in, and with that inhalation cycle, preparing to be present with the full drawing out of a new figure there. And giving it a little unique moment for identity. Just breathing through at your pace in your cycle of engagement so that you have a comfortable, attentive moment, shaping some space on the paper. You get more engaged in each interaction. You can ride along those movements of the hand, movements of the pen or pencil, taking the inhalation as the setting, and listening to the exhalation as it rides out along the movement, likely dwindling away into some natural breaths before we complete a shape. It may depend on each instance, each case, how much space it takes up, how quickly you draw, but noticing how far that breath guides with the hand. Hearing it in the space around you. Feeling the deep exhalation as you move around a shape, bringing with it a little ease, a little relaxation into that space of the drawing. And then listening to the space between them. You hear the inhalation, a slight pause, maybe the scratch of the pen or pencil as it touches the page. And then the exhalation flows outward. And again, a little silence towards the end. A time of noticing the small vibrations become more present. With the opportunities of the next shape or the inner extension peek out to the eye, that quiet pause. And as these tiles extend from their origin, they may even get a little lost. The field becoming the elements part of the whole of the field. You can begin to work at a smooth, even pace for a minute or two, just quietly listening to that wave of the breath as it guides new locations, shapes, gradually growing out to a pattern. And the field here could keep growing, expanding till it hits the edges and goes beyond them. An infinite tiling of irregular relationships between the rectangles. You can take some time in the drawing, decide how its edges start to form. Are they irregular and undulating, or they start to fill itself in to complete within a larger rectangular shape? Or a little bit of both. All are possible here in the shapes, stacking within each other. And we begin to transition to a reading through the space. Feel free at any time to add new or more elements, new rectangles within rectangles, aligned with other rectangles, or let the current permutation of the pattern be itself for a little while. And take another medium, a pencil, colored pencil. You can use the pen in a different way, a marker, and start to bring a new layer into the drawing. Perhaps the space between catches the eye, or the space in between, or the space all the way in. Choosing your interface to explore, I'm going to go the in between. And beginning to bring that other medium into play. A little shading, a little hatching, a little tone. Something to change the visual field from the relationships of the line, geometry, to a relationship of shape and texture and tone. And start just wherever it calls you in. Do one or two, notice what it brings into the space of the drawing. Notice how you're engaging with the new tool. It might be a bit of a switch, or the hand, or the eye, a change of interface. Some time to play with it, to notice what it can do. The change in orientation, perhaps, of the body, the way of holding the tool. A chance for the mind to notice, change, use, and adapt. The change may absorb our attention for a little while. We kind of sink into that, an exhale of the mind into the space of engagement. And sit in that condition, the new pulling us in, demanding a little more of our thinking as we transition to knowing the space, a mapping and a build-up of knowledge, of technique, and a slow synthesis to potential. As you become more familiar with it, notice how you're applying the technique. You get a little more space in the mind for attention, observe, and witness, to work from one direction or many directions, to work heavy or light, to go from one shape to its neighbor or jump around. Do notice yourself trying to fill in the lines or stay between them. Maybe a loose, getting some texture down and cleaning it up, or careful defining the edges and filling it in. Different tendencies, different ways of reading the territory and exploring the tool and instrument that allows us to map it. If you're working a certain way and it's working for you, keep that in the mind and the attention. If you're finding it resisting, perhaps change, work outside in or inside out, work in circles or lines. Small movements or large, just a little shift here or there to adapt and find your way through the new. You may notice that the relationship established within the field, the rectangle, position maybe somewhat relative to your position, how you drew it towards the edges of the paper or towards your stance, your place in the space, may affect how you engage it with the tool. The shifting or arbitrary, very varied condition of the inside shape and the outside shape, each a new exploration, a new place to apply detail or openness. And take a few minutes to continue exploring that landscape, that territory, changing tools, changing color, or sinking in and following one as far as it can go. This is your map now, your field to explore. If your eyes find something, follow it with the mind, see what it brings. We have a few minutes left, so this time we spend sinking in, drawing ourselves into the map, creating a new territory, a new space from the imagination. Can really get hyper-focused, if that feels good. It draws the mind and occupies it. Lean in there. Maybe even literally bring yourself a little closer. Notice your relationship in space. Notice a few more details of the mark of the stroke. The eyes get a little closer. Resolution gets a little finer. If you've been at it for a while, the eyes are getting a little numb to the conditions. The space beginning to blur a little bit. You can let the whole mind and whole body step back. Even let the pen or pencil rest for a moment as you recalibrate, taking in the whole page again. Maybe closing the eyes for a moment. Listening into your breath as it occupies throughout the field. Blinking, a little heavy. The eyes here, while they may dart around and move or focus at one distance the whole time, it starts to tire out those specific muscles holding that specific focus. It's looking around from time to time, taking a little break from the intention of the focus so you can come back a little bit fresh, a little bit more notice and awareness of all those parts of you engaging here on the page. And keep filling in some area, a tone or color or texture of some kind. Slowly bringing more character and resolution to the map. Maybe even finding and exploring a little bit of an idea. Green spaces wrapping through the middle, blue spaces clustering around the edges. Maybe remembering another tool, another color, another thing nearby, wondering where can it bring its color, temperature, specific attributes and qualities of medium into the space. The mind taking in the whole, imagining what it could do as it sees things. And you have a minute or so left, so maybe if there's something you want to explore, experiment, an idea, finding it, bringing a note of it here or there to see what it does. The whole page, whole time and session, just a little experiment. Experiment in the gathering of shapes, adjacencies, nesting. And the relationships, color, within color, next to color, gaps and tiles. But as you feel ready, bringing a completion to whatever shape you're working on, letting the pen or pencil come to a rest for a moment. You can always pick it back up and keep going through and exploring, but take that time to disengage, to replenish, to take a few fulfilling breaths outside of action, only inside the body. Close the eyes for a moment or two, let them refresh, blink quite as much when we're intent and focused, get a little dry. Rehydrate, reoxygenate, and then open up and see the page, the table, the space, the chair, the room around you. Prepare to go on to the next part of your day. Okay, well, I do a little bit more drawing. Fill in a little more blue there, right? See if a little more orange comes into play. Just complete the mosaic. Sometimes these days, with all the themes asking for our attention, communication, ease of access, constant presence, devices, technology, it can be a little hard to remind ourselves to slow down for a moment. It doesn't have to be too long. A little break, a little connection outside and new connection inside. Even in these weekly drawing exercises, this little time at the end, the system is in place, the idea unfolding on its own, the body moving, the breath easy, play fully engaged. Things get a little quiet. The strangest of memories pop into the mind. Things that for whatever reason, maybe they were novel, maybe they were intense, maybe they were impactful, stunning. They get imprinted a little more heavily in our memories. They float back in high detail. As as I draw this bizarre, vivid memory of parking in a parking structure of a supermarket in Chile. Just getting off a plane, switching modes of travel, finding your way somewhere new, stopping to engage in a not so unfamiliar but not so familiar situation, shopping for supplies in a place you don't know, a language you don't necessarily speak or understand perfectly. All that maps densely into the mind as it's processing, adapting, changing, building the new map. And who knows when those interesting moments just resurface, we see them fresh. We remember smells and details, layered there, deep within the recesses of the nodes, connections, and folds of our mind. You joined along, thank you. Hope you have a wonderful day. Draw well.